Why? Why is this? Thinkest thou I'd make a life of jealousy, to follow still the changes of the moon with fresh suspicions? No. To be once in doubt is once to be resolved. Exchange me for a goat, when I shall turn the business of my soul to such exsufflicate and blowed surmises, matching thy inference. 'Tis not to make me jealous, to say my wife is fair, feeds well, loves company, is free of speech, sings, plays, and dances well. Where virtue is, these are more virtuous. Nor from mine own weak merits will I draw the smallest fear or doubt of her revolt, for she had eyes and chose me. No, Iago, I'll see before I doubt. When I doubt, prove. And on the proof, there is no more but this. Away at once with love or jealousy.
Your ma's worried. Grandma's awful chum.
Few men want to camp here to cost you 4 bits. Get a place to sleep, and water, and wood. Nobody won't bother you.
Well, what the hell? We can sleep in a ditch right beside the road and won't cost us nothing.
Deputy sheriff comes on by in the night. Might make it tough for you. Got a law against sleeping out in this state. Got a law against vagrants.
If I pay you a $50, I ain't a vagrant, huh?
That's right.
Deputy sheriff ain't your brother-in-law by any chance?
No, he ain't. And the time ain't come yet when us local folks got to take no talk from you goddamn bums neither.
I heard Peter Nardoza, Diane Feinstein's aide, say Diane wants to see you, and Dan White said that'll have to wait a couple minutes. I have something to do first.
I have something to do first?
Yes.
Do you recall in what manner Mr. White announced himself?
There were stress factors due to the fact that he hadn't been notified.
He appeared at the door, which was normally left open. He stuck his head in and said, "Say, Harv, can I see you for a minute?"
And the sudden emotional surge he had in the mayor's office was simply too much for him.
What did Harvey Milk do at that time, if anything?
He turned around.
And he cracked.
He turned around.
The man cracked.
And said, "Sure."
He shot the mayor.
Got up and went across the hall.
Reloaded his gun, basically on instinct because of his police training.
After they went across the hall.
And was about to leave that building at that point when he looked down the hall.
Could you tell us what you next heard or saw?
A few seconds later, probably 10, 15 seconds later, I heard a shot, or sound of gun fire.
He went to the supervisor's area to talk to Harvey Milk.
Excuse me, would you speak out? Your voice is fading.
After the first shot, I heard Harvey Milk scream, "Oh no!" And then the first part of the second no, which was been cut off by the second shot.
The right arm has to be palm away with the thumb pointed in towards the body and the elbow slightly in towards the body with the arm raised.
How many shots of sound did you hear altogether, Mr. Carlson?
5 or 6. I didn't really consciously count. After the shots, the door opened. The door opened and Dan White walked out. He rushed out and proceeded down the hall.
After Dan White went to the office designated as Harvey Milk's and inquired of Harvey Milk, "Say, Harv, can I see you a minute?" Could you describe his tone of voice in any way?
He seemed to be his very normal, usual, friendly self. I didn't feel anything out of the ordinary. It's just very typical Dan White.
My mistress with a monster is in love! Oh. Near to her close and consecrated bower, upon her dull and sleeping hour, a crew of patches, rude mechanicals that work for bread upon Athenian stalls, were met together to rehearse a play intended for great Theseus' nuptial day. The shallowest thick-skin of that barren sort who Pyramus presented in their sport forsook his scene and went into a brake. When I did him a disadvantage take, an ass's knoll I fix it on his head. Anon, his Thisbe must be answered, and forth my mimic comes. When they him spy, as wild geese that the creeping fowler eye, or russet-pated choughs, many in sort, rising and cawing at the gun's report, do sever themselves and madly sweep the sky. So at his sight, away his fellows fly, and at our stamp, o'er and o'er one falls, he murder cries, and help from Athens calls. Their sense thus weak, lost in their fear, the strong made senseless things begin to do them wrong. For briars and thorns their apparel snatch, some sleeves, some hats, from yielders all things catch. I led them on in their distracted fear, and left sweet Pyramus translated there. When in that moment, so it came to pass, Titania waked, and henceforth loved an ass.
Dan, in my opinion, well, he was a person who saved lives.
Where is the prosecution?
You saw him on November 27th, 1978, did you not?
I did. What I saw made me want to cry. Dan was always so neat. He looked like a Marine on parade. He made me feel ashamed of the way I usually looked, and here was this kid, badly disheveled, looking like he had been crying. And he had his hands cuffed behind his back, which was something I never expected to see. He looked crushed, absolutely devastated. I put my arm around him, and I told him, everything's gonna be all right. But how everything was gonna be all right, I don't know.
My uncle just got back from his third tour in Iraq. And, he has really, really bad nightmares. One time, he almost strangled my aunt during a nightmare, but he woke up in time, or she'd be dead. And he misses the war, and he wants to go back. You know, sometimes I feel really, really uncomfortable around him, because you never know what he's gonna do. He'll go in the backyard and he'll fire his gun up into the air. And one time, he shot off all the toes on one foot. And that's why the military won't take him back. Right now, he's trying to join the LAPD.